All right, we're going live.
Radio 90 KKHR Los Angeles.
726 at Hit Radio 93 KKHR with Lou Simon and music by Prince. Most people are named after their father. This is the only guy I know named after his father's dog. KKHR and Lou, good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
What's the name of the song?
The song that was on Jack and Diane, John Cougar. This is going to be Jungle Love. You want to do some Jungle Love?
Oh, I love to.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You grab onto the vine, and here you hold this banana, and I got this loincloth. Can you put that on?
Oh, sure.
Okay, great. And then we'll just kind of swing. You know what I mean?
Whatever blows your skirt up.
The time, Hit Radio. So we're gonna have Guido, if we can get his attention. He's out in the hall vacuuming right now. Let me see if I can just. He loves to sing. Sings opera all the time. Anyway, hey, Guido. Guido.
Hey, Mr. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you today? Feeling good?
Yeah? Everything good here, yeah? I'm just cleaning up. I'm not bothering you, no?
No bother. I want you to sing happy birthday.
I want to sing.
I know. Just happy birthday to somebody for us in North Hollywood today. Okay? Go ahead. Get ready. Very good.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, good.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. What's your name there?
Missy.
Missy. How's that good?
Very good.
Happy birthday to you.
All right. Do you want to get going now?
Get back to work, all right?
Okay. I'll see you later.
Yes, good. Goodbye to you.
Goodbye to you, too.
Rockin' LA. KKHR.
KKHR.
Hi, is John there?
John?
Yeah.
John. Lou, is there someone here named John?
John, hold on. Look here. John!
Is there a John here?
John!
Wait a minute. I think this is a trick question here.
Now.
Yes, we do have a John here.
Okay.
Don't you have a John at your house?
We try to.
Hit Radio 93 KKHR, 1024 with Dave Donovan. That's their latest. You have to excuse me again. There's a phone call for Lou Simon, and, well, he's in the KKHR disc jockey locker room, and I just have to poke my head in here and tell him about it. Lou?
Panama.
Lou.
Hey, Panama.
Lou,
Hey, Panama.
there's a phone call for you.
Hey, Panama.
Yeah,
I'm talking about that malaria-infested place.
Close the door.
Hey.
We did, okay, we'll get him later.
93 Radio. KKHR.
Hit Radio 93 KKHR1. So, I say I am so excited.
You keep it up and I'm going to give you some CANDY. I don't smoke.
Yeah, but you never know. You might be able to use that stuff for it's over. Feel like a party tonight. How about you, huh?
I don't need a butler, cook, and a waiter.
Hey! I didn't say I felt like retiring tonight. I said I want to party.
Right, that's it. Party Sisters, net 30-minute free ride at KKHR. 501, have big fun down on the bayou. I'm Jack Armstrong.
I'm not ready to get you on one way or the other, gorilla.
Hit Radio 93 KKHR, making the boss's cousin happy today. He's here. He wants to hear this thing by Don Henley called The Boys of Summer. He's always got suggestions for...
This guy will make us rich. We'll put him in a cage and exhibit the only talking gorilla in captivity.
You want to put me in a cage and...
It would be better with two talking gorillas.
You want to... I don't care who he's related to. Get him out of here.
Flamethrower Hit Radio. KKHR.
Hey, Radio 93 KKHR, big semi-finals football playoff Friday night. Valencia and Fullerton butting heads. And I got my house and my car all on Fullerton, so see what happens in that game. You two and Pride at 93 KKHR. KKHR.
Yeah, can you tell Mr. Hanson he sounds damn good? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you tell Mr. Hanson he sounds damn good?
You want me to do that?
Yeah, who is this?
This is his helper.
Oh, this is his helper?
No, not really. This is Mark.
This is Mark Hanson?
Yeah.
You sound damn good.
Yeah, such language. Where are their mom and dads anyway? Frankie goes to Hollywood and comes back kind of weird.
Rockin' Southern California Radio. KKHR. Radio 90 KKHR. Los Angeles.
726 at Hit Radio 93 KKHR with Lou Simon.
And it wanted to go again.
Let it go. That was great.
I love that top of the hour ID.
Oh, I love that top of the hour.
I know.
Well,
Very
we've
cool.
got Dave Donovan here. Dancin Mark Hanson. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Oh, there's a microphone, isn't there? Yeah, I'm good.
Probably the best night CHR jock ever.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it sure
At
was fun.
KKHR.
Sure was fun.
Lou Simon in the morning. Hello,
Hey,
Lou.
hey.
The slim one in middays. Hi, Slim. Todd Parker in the afternoon.
Hey, baby.
Todd was the first one that launched the station. And, of course, Ed Scarborough, our illustrious program director. No, Ed.
Yeah, fearless leader.
Ed, thanks for hiring all of us. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, right.
You know what, Ed? I think we chatted about this before. We've done a couple of Zoom things together, the KKHR jocks. But I was working at K-Hits, and I was there for a couple of years. My contract was up. I had come in for $30,000 a year from DC. I took something like a $25,000 cut because they pay you in sunshine in Los Angeles. And so I said, it was Bob Moore, who was the GM, who's a great friend. Bob Moore claims that I would not have a voiceover career if it wasn't for him, because he wouldn't pay me any more money in radio. So he takes full credit for it. But we couldn't come to an agreement. So I said, well, I'm leaving. And they gave me Saturday nights until I can find something. And in 1983, I had been doing it for about 2 months. Ed Scarborough called me on I swear to God, it was the request line, but maybe you got the hotline somehow. And he said, Dave. And I was like, Dave, nobody
It was
called
probably
me
the
Dave.
request line.
It might have been. And I said, if anybody who calls me Dave either is family or they know me from Connecticut. And Ed used to work at WDRC in Connecticut, where I was Dave Donovan at DRC. And he said, I'm coming to LA. We're taking KNX FM and we're going hot hits and we're going to kick ass and all that sort of stuff. And I want to hire you for my staff. And I was like blown away. He said, I need you to send me an air check because I need to play it for, who would that be, Ed? Bob Vanderhayden or
Probably Bob Vanderhayden.
One of the Bobs.
Probably Vanderhayden. Yeah, Vanderhayden. Yeah.
So I got hired at
Bob
KKHR off of the request line at K-Hits. So how about you guys? You guys jump in.
Dude, there must be something about that, because I think he called me on the request line too. It was either that.
What are you, a groupie, Ed?
I don't know, either that or he came or through the front office. But I was actually on the air, and I know I had sent him a tape to KHTR, which was a hit radio in St. Louis, and that's where I was raised. And my family's there. I thought it'd be nice to go back to St. Louis. I think I was in Fort Wayne. Yeah, Fort Wayne at the time. And so I knew I'd send him tapes there, and he called and he said, "Hey, this is Ed Scarborough. I got your tape." And he said, "Yeah, I really liked it." He said, "Would you like to work for me?" And I'm like, "Oh man, Ed, you don't know. I would love it. That'd be awesome." So we're talking and talking and talking, and I had no freaking idea he was saying L.A. I thought I was going to St. Louis for the first 5 minutes of the conversation, excited as could be. And he said, "Yeah, it's great. My family's there and everything." He goes, "Oh no." He said, I'm leaving St. Louis. And I'm like, oh, who am I working for? He said, "You're working for me, but I'm going to L.A." And I went, "You have got to be." And I think I just passed out. And I had dead air, and who cares? I'm going to L.A. But it's funny. I couldn't remember either. It was either I know it wasn't work. It was either a request line or he called through the front office.
Amazing.
It's funny, nice. Mark, because when he told me it was LA, I was disappointed. I was hoping to go to St. Louis. So it's the exact opposite. To this day, I'm kind of pissed off.
Nah, you didn't miss anything, Lou.
How did you get hired, Lou, for mornings?
I don't know. I had a good time there.
I was. I'll tell you. A guy named Rick. I'm blanking right this second. He programmed WEEI FM Boston. Rick Peters, I think was his name. Peters? I think that was his name. He programmed WEEI FM Boston, and he offered me a job. Well, wanted to offer me a job. Wanted me to do a live audition. So I was out of work, having left where I was out of work from, Salt Lake City or somewhere, I don't know, and somewhere, Charlotte, and I drove up to Boston. I drove to Boston. I did a live air shift for him while the whole staff went to the Christmas party, and based on that tape, he offered me a job. Then what happened was he turns out he couldn't fire the guy that he wanted to. The guy had some grandfathered in contract. It would have been too expensive to blow him out. So he had to renege. He said, "I'm so sorry, man." He offered me the gig. Everything was done. And then he said, I can't offer it to you. He said, but so then I took a job at KZZP Phoenix and went out there. In the meantime, this guy, Rick Peter, I'm pretty sure that was his name. He sent my tape, my little air check from that one shift I did at Boston to Ed. And I get this call, this message, from the receptionist, call Ed Scarborough. And I call him back and he says, "Hey, heard a tape of you from Rick Peters in Boston. Can you send me an air check? Can you overnight me an air check of your next shift?" Sure. I overnight the tape to St. Louis. He calls me and he says, "I'd like to meet you. Can you meet me in Los Angeles? Because I'm going to be there for meetings." Still not telling me the gig was going to be in LA. I said, "Sure." And I took a day off and I flew from Phoenix to LA and we went and had lunch at Universal City, as I recall, Universal Studios, I think. And he talked to me and he offered me mornings and he said, "But the gig is not in St. Louis. The gig is right here in LA." And I flipped out. And then I had to go back to KZZP where I had a 1 year, whatever work agreement. And I was only 5 months into it. And I had to resign. And I said, "You guys, you got to let me out of this deal. Because you don't want, if you say no and I have to stay, you do not want me here." And
who was the PD there, Lou?
Huh?
Lou, who was the PD at CZP at that point?
Guy named Charlie Quinn.
Okay.
Oh, Charlie Quinn. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was not owned by Western Cities. No, it wasn't Western Cities yet. It was owned by the Phelan brothers, So,
hey, Lou, when you came to LA and you had that lunch, was that in July? Do you remember 83? Summer of 83? Because we launched today, August 25th.
Yeah, I want to say it was maybe it was not much before. Okay, I tell you right now, I started there in March, at ZZP in March, and I was in LA in August, and so it had to be about July. Because I went in and I said, "I'll give you guys 2 weeks notice. I'll give you 2 weeks. I have to move." So it was late July. I think it was July. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
How about Todd? You were the first voice on KKHR. We're going to play that in a few minutes here. How did you get hired?
Can you hear me okay? Because I've had mic troubles.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I almost went to work for Ed in St. Louis. He called and invited me out there. They had an opening there, and my girlfriend at the time, later wife, just couldn't stand being in the Midwest, and it was too bad because it was a sweet deal. It was a great station and a great bunch of people, and I turned them down. And then eventually I went to San Francisco, KITS in San Francisco, and Ed called there and said, "You want to come to Los Angeles?" And I said, "No." I was having a great time in San Francisco, and then I hung up, and I probably called him back, I don't know, maybe 6 hours later, and said, "Why don't I fly down there?" And so he was kind enough to say, "Yeah, please." He was excited to have me, and I remember flying into LA for the first time, going through that very famous smog layer, landing at LAX, thinking, "Oh God, I'm never going to live here." And it's been, I don't know, 45 years. So, but it was a great opportunity, and I'm so thrilled to and honored to have gotten Ed's ear.
And this picture that we have up on the screen, this was the first time that all of us met, if I'm correct, and this was at CBS Television City. We had a photo shoot that day for our individual headshots, and we hadn't met each other. Christopher Lance in the lower left. Chris Lance is the hardest guy to get in touch with. Second hardest is Lou Simon. But we're hoping that Chris might still come in. But that's Chris in the bottom left. Lou Simon looking a little less swarmy. Is that a word? No beard. Dancin Mark Hanson at the top. Todd, somewhere behind those glasses.
Yeah.
And me, I think I'm 12. And Ed Scarborough in the middle. And that was an exciting day because we were at CBS Television freaking City for God's sake.
Man.
Hey, can I just give a quick memory for
Yeah,
that?
we do.
My first impression upon seeing everybody, I looked at Joe Dave, and he had an aqua shirt on and matching socks.
No,
And I thought, this freaking guy is so LA. What's he gonna be like? I'll never forget those aqua socks. I said, "That."
Oh my God!
Like the color of this shirt.
That's why you're wearing that shirt.
It
Yes,
is just because of you.
Dave, tell the truth. Are you wearing them right now, Dave?
Come on.
I actually have no socks.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Well, he's in Florida now. Miami Vice
He's in
style.
Florida, so yeah.
You know, when that picture was taken, I got to
Didn't we
tell
do
you,
a bus tour of the
I was
city?
terrified, absolutely terrified.
You're not the only one.
You guys are talking like, oh, I came from Philadelphia, San Francisco, turned down 3 jobs in LA and New York. I'm coming from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'm terrified of the big city. And when I said, well, at least I got the picture. I'll always have the picture taken. So that was like, you know what? If this is as far as it goes, I'm good with it. Here I am. I'm with them. And man, I was scared.
It's so funny. Slim. Now, Slim came in to do noon to 3, and I was so thrilled that I hung on to my 9 to noon shift long enough to be able to bump into Slim every day and do crossovers with the Slim one, which was like the best. Tell us a little bit about your story when you came in, Slim. Did you get there in, was it 84, 85?
I think it was 84, and I wasn't there even a year. But I came in from San Fran. It's so interesting to hear everyone's story. I had no idea Dancin came from Indiana or Lou from ZZP. I love this.
I know. I didn't know any of this either. Yeah.
I know. I came in from San Fran because I'd gotten blown out at KFRC for playing Annette Funicello.
That was cool.
And so I was just, really upset and getting a tan on the deck at my apartment and just kind of licking my wounds. I didn't really know what to do. And Charlie Van Dyke called because he liked my shtick and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just hanging out, reading paperbacks and getting a tan." He said, "Well, why don't do you want to go to LA?" And I said, "Well, I'm just, depends. I don't know." And he said, "I'm going to have somebody call you." So Ed called and said, "Do you want to come and do nights?" And I said, "No," because I just didn't want to do nights anymore. I needed a more visible shift.
Thank goodness.
And so
Wait a minute.
exactly.
I'm just hearing about this now.
I never knew that one, Mark. What the hell?
I know. I'm gonna unbury the bodies here.
Really, I almost just got the picture. Really.
So 2 weeks later, he called and Ed was pissed at me. You could tell. And he said, I still remember this very clearly. He said, "I assume that if I offered you a day shift, you would jump." And I said, "Well, just depends on the shift." And he goes, "Well," and I don't remember if it was a 12 to 3 at that point or a 10 to 2 or whatever. And but I knew Jack was there.
Now you're taking my gig.
Yeah,
there was some revolving things here.
Yeah.
But I knew Jack did afternoons, and that was the big draw for me to hand off to Jack.
Yeah.
And so I said, "So, well, would I be handing off to Jack?" And Ed said, "Yes, you would." And I said, "Okay, well, let me, think about it." And he said, "Well, don't wait too long, and call me back." And so I knew I was going to take the gig, but I was just going to let him hang for a while. And I think I called back in a couple of days.
Are you talking about Charlie?
No, I'm talking about you.
Talking to you, Ed.
Is this thing working?
Yes, we hear you.
Well,
Wait a minute.
so
I can't get a word in here. Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Yeah, your mic's working, and it's working so well you can't get a word in. So
anyway, that's what brought me in there.
Yeah.
I had a blast with everybody. I thought it was a great time.
all right, Ed, you can now you can speak, and then we're going to play the first break of KKHR, the end of KNX FM, and the beginning of Hit Radio.
No.
Go ahead, Ed. Tell us your story.
Can I get a word in here?
Please.
I'm glad you guys remember all these stories, because if you guys think you were nervous, I was petrified. I tried not to show it, but man, oh man, here we are in Los Angeles. I'm hiring a staff. I did not take any of that crap lightly. And I think every one of us in our career, especially as programmers, at one point, if we have some success, we ask ourselves, are we really good or are we just lucky? And then we take that second programming job, kind of find out for ourselves which it is. And I still wasn't sure what the hell I was doing. I sure knew we were going to have a fun radio station. That much I did know. And I was all about team. I think you guys know that too, so that everybody could get along. Slim, I remember so many of your bits, and I remember how you would refuse to have you always had your picture taken in profile, like the Meet the Beatles album, because you were all about keeping your identity kind of mysterious. I don't want them to know what I am. The first he, she, it was ever was right there on the radio.
Oh yeah.
And she was just remarkable about it. But I don't remember all of these things. Mark, I probably called you because I had your air check, which meant I probably had your phone number. Honestly,
right time, right place.
Todd was through the CBS connections and Scott Walker. And Charlie Van Dyke and I are good friends, so he was the one that probably put me onto you.
Yeah.
And Lou,
Rick Peters sent you a
you sent me
tape from
something.
Boston to St. Louis for you to consider for LA. That's it.
That's right.
And you liked
So
it,
Rick
and
Peters
you
put
asked
me
for
onto
it.
you.
I overnight an air check. Next thing I know, we're
Joe Bob,
freaking
David, Billy Ray Bob there.
I just have to
Didn't
say,
we take a bus tour around the city when you guys got all here?
Go ahead, Ed.
Didn't we take a bus tour around the city?
I don't recall
I
that.
don't remember. Didn't we do that? Like see the sights of LA so we could.
Ed, that was you and me and those girls at the corner. That have holes in it.
Right.
That bus?
Oh, God.
We took like a gray line tour around LA to see the sights, so that you could get acclimated. Those who weren't familiar with the city.
I don't remember that at all. I remember sitting at in Columbia Square, where the station was, and in a conference room, and we listened to the entire jingle package. I remember that.
I remember that too. Now that you mention it,
amazing. Let's go take a moment here and go back to the demise of KNX FM and then the eventual return of KNX FM. They got their revenge. But this was it today.
And then the demise of KNX.
Today, August 25th at 3 p.m., Todd, I guess, right? Must have been. And then you could tell us a little bit about how this happened. But here it is, the beginning of KKHR.
And so that brings us to today, August 25th, 1983, and the beginning of an entirely new era for KNX-FM. And to tell you about that change is KNX-FM General Manager Vice President Bob Nelson. Bob?
You're right, Michael. A new era indeed is dawning for KNX-FM. For today, in just a few moments, KNX-FM will become Hit Radio 93 for all of Southern California. We're proud to introduce this exciting new sound to you, featuring the best of today's hit music with favorites of the recent past. Hit Radio is fast-paced and fun, and its new home is right here at 93 on your FM dial. To all of you, thanks for being with us for these past 10 years, and we hope you'll be with us for the next 10 as well, to enjoy the new sound of KNX-FM Los Angeles, as we start right now a whole new era with Hit Radio for all of Southern California.
The new 93 FM, KNX FM, Hit Radio Los Angeles. And you have no idea how long I've waited to say that. I'm Todd Parker, welcoming you to the next Southern California radio legend, Hit Radio 93.
Wow. I don't know. Radio legend? Did we,
You know, I have not heard that for 40 years.
wow.
Really?
So I'm glad somebody. No, and so
You know what, Todd? I don't know if you want to share a little story about that. You and I talked about it.
we did,
anything
and
you would like to share?
this is my recollection. It may not be exactly right, but we, I don't know, we were going to kick off. We were not going to kick off. We were waiting for the call letters. I forget exactly how it went, but my recollection is that we didn't, or Ed decided not to throw the switch until that day. I mean, my recollection is that you said to me at I don't know, lunchtime, "Oh, by the way, you're going on at 3 today." And again, that's what I recall, which was okay, all right, fine. But I thought, gosh, in my mind, in retrospect, gosh, I wish I should have spent more time coming up with an open. But hearing it now, it's like, okay, no, that's acceptable. That's okay.
No, that was good.
I walked into the control room and it was like, you know, there's television cameras on the other side of the glass, and every executive is back there, and the lights are on. We're all peering in at it. You know, it's like, and plus, you know, the old KNX guys hated us.
Yeah.
They were still packing. They were packing their bags and getting.
I know, right at the desk.
That's grim.
And of course,
That's
every call that came in on the request line for like the first 72 hours was, "You idiots! What are you doing? It's just one." You know. All right, okay, you're right. Sorry, the one up for you. Here's Michael Jackson.
Ed, can you talk about the decision to retain Dave Hall, who came from KNX FM and a very different musical mindset as your music director?
Yeah, good one. And also David Hall, who went on to have an incredibly successful on-camera career. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Well, I will tell you this. I was always loath to fire people just because they were at a previous format. I tried to give people some credit, and I did try to actually keep. I think his name is Dan Lopez, who was doing nights for KNX FM.
Oh yeah, Dan.
And he was one of the few guys that. Yeah, he seemed to have an attitude of like, well, you know, I'm willing to give it a shot, kind of a thing. And eventually, he decided he didn't really want to give it a shot. And Dave Hall came to me, and I felt he was an asset because he knew every record promoter in the town, and I knew absolutely none of them.
Wow, so true.
And quite frankly, the more I could isolate myself from them, the better off I'd be in terms of getting badgered every day with, you know, play this, play that. And so I thought Dave would be the, you know, the superb front man for all of that. Dave used to come into my office, he'd wave a record in the air and he'd say, "What a great piece of music. What a great piece of music." And I'd look at him and I'd say, "I don't care. Is it a hit?" And he would look confused. And I would say, "Dave, Louie was a piece of crap in terms of music, but it was a smash. You see where I'm going with this?" You know, so he had the hardest time, but he did a great job in bringing me the stuff that needed to be heard, and filtering out the record guys for the most part.
And you know what?
And Lou, when you took
his
over the position,
in doing KNX FM, he was all about music. They used to match up the song ending into the song.
The same key.
The same key.
Yeah,
Right.
that was crazy.
Well,
Right. It's a whole different thing. He went from
with Selector.
He never saw a chart or anything. I mean, KNX FM was all sound and vibe, and now all of a sudden, you know, it was this. I remember the Warner rep, Chris, I think was the guy's name, coming in with a single and playing it for Dave, and I was nearby, and you know, I popped into his studio and listened to it, and the record was "Holiday" by Madonna. The first single, everybody had never done anything, but the second single, they were really working hard. And he said, "Listen to this thing." And I said, "Wow, that's great." I said, "I thought it was a name of a group." I remember I said, so Madonna, that's the band, and they have the female lead singer. That's cool. He said, and I just remember that moment, you know, those kind of stupid, the first time you hear something, and there we were, and there it was.
Yeah.
Can I tell you?
We actually were not a late. We broke some good. We played a lot of records. I think earlier than Kiss in some cases, Ed.
Yeah.
Most
I think
always.
so. Yeah.
Most always.
Can I tell
And
a
then they
Dave
started
Ball
getting
story?
the leg up on us because
Oh,
they
yeah.
had the inside with Warner Bros. What's that?
Go ahead,
So
Mark.
here's
What
my
story?
Dave Hall story. And this story, I'm going to tell you, and he promised me to never mention this, never tell anybody. But I think 40 years later, I think I'm safe on telling this story. So one day I go into work. It's like 6 o'clock. I go in there at 7, and I go into work, and Dave's still there doing stuff. And for some reason, I guess he said, "Yeah, is everything okay with you?" And I said, "Yeah, it's fine." I said, "Well, I said, Christy and I, or not, well, my wife before, so we were out looking at houses, and we found a house. We really love it. I love it, except I need $8,000 for a down payment." And I said, I do not have $8,000 for down payment, so I'm gonna miss out on it. And I just kind of bummed about it. And he goes, "Do you really like the house?" And I said, "Yeah, we've looked at a bunch, and I love it. It's in my price range. It's got a pool. It's perfect." And I said, "So I don't know." He said, I do voice work, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I just did a bunch of G.I. Joe stuff." And he said, and I got a pretty good check on that. He said, I want to do this for you, but don't you tell a soul. And seriously, he didn't want me to say. And I said, "What?" He goes, "I want to give you the money for the down payment."
Oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's like we're like best friends or anything. I mean, I would see him when I came into work. And so he said, "But don't screw me." He said, "Because this is my kid's education." And I was like, "Oh my God." And so I said, "Okay." So he loaned me the $8,000. I paid him back. And that is how I got my first house.
Wow, Mark.
Because-
I have never heard.
What an incredible guy, right? And he said, "Promise me you won't ever tell anybody this. So you guys can either keep it to yourselves or not." But I think after 40 years, I think we're all okay with it. So,
oh my God, that is.
I remember him as being a very nice man.
yeah.
Wow, that's a great story, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to give you. Hey, here's the flip. Can I give you guys the flip side of that story?
Yep.
Here's the other-
Oh, no.
Dave Hall stole $8,000
From Blue Diamond.
Give to me.
here's the flip side of that story.
Here comes Mr. B side. Let's go.
I'm working. I might as well say the name. It doesn't matter. It's a true story. I mean, it's this thing. I'm working at KZZP, and the PD, Charlie Quinn, he comes in the control room. He says, "Oh man," he says, "I was just down at the car dealership. Oh, I saw the best looking car. I gotta have this thing. It's so good." I said, "Really? What is it?" He said, "It's a Saab 900." Which, by the way, just in case some of you don't remember, and I know you had one at one point, Dave.
I had. That's what I drove in.
Okay, that's great. It's literally the ugliest car that's ever been on the road. I'm sorry, it is one. So anyway, he says, "I gotta have it." He said, he said, "It's beige." I said, "Okay, the only thing that could make the 900 less interesting is that it's freaking beige." But he said, yeah, he said, "I gotta get this thing." He said, "But he said, I gotta put $5,000 down on it." I said, "Go do it, man. I mean, if that's your ride, then go have it." He said, "I can't afford it right now, And the thing is, I'm a little nervous that they're going to sell it." He said, "What?" He said, "I said, well, here's the good news. If they do, they'll make another one. That's what there'll be another." He said, "No, but this one's right there, man. I just want to get it." He said, "Would you do me? Could you loan me $5,000?
Oh my God.
I said, "You want me to loan you $5,000 to go put down on the car was probably $9,000. What the hell? 83. We're gonna Saab car." I said, "You want $5,000 to go and buy a beige Saab?" I said, he said, "I'll pay you back because I've got a tax return coming. And as soon as I get the return, I promise I'll give it right back to you."
Man.
He said, "But I don't want to lose out on this car." I said, "Jesus." I said, "Sure." Gave him $5,000. Sure enough, the next day he pulls into the parking lot. Come out, you got to see this thing." I said, "Jesus, looks like a Saab." So, and that was it. He paid me back, but that's the opposite of the.
He paid you back. I thought he was going to stiff you.
Yeah,
No, me too. Yeah.
No, he paid me back right about the time I went in and said, "I'm leaving to go to LA."
I'm leaving. I'm going to KKHR.
Yeah.
I want to bring up one thing. Go back to Todd's first break. When we went on the air, we still didn't have the KKHR call letters yet.
Yeah.
They were not approved by the FCC. And we did, I can't remember, guys, did we do a week or 2 weeks of off-air shows? Maybe it was a week. And we just went in, did our shows. We're not on the air. And we practiced. We did the format. Then when Todd, launched for another, Ed, I don't know if you remember, it was another couple of weeks. We couldn't use our jingles. We couldn't do a top of the hour. We were KNX FM, but we were Hit Radio 93. And that was so bizarre. That was another F up from CBS. Sorry.
Interesting.
In the tryouts we
I
did,
don't
we were doing
remember all
shows
of that,
for-
but it does strike a chord.
Yeah.
Ed, do you remember this? On the tryouts, we were using the CBS had the same thing in every studio, so we had Neumann microphones. No, they weren't Neumann. It was the big bubble one, the foam one, capsule. Remember that one? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm doing, and we go and we tape the shows for Ed to listen to. So I go and I tape the whole show, and I think, well, maybe I'll listen back to it, make sure it's it took, and I listen back to it, and it sounds like this.
Oh no!
And what I had done is I had turned, I didn't know which end of the mic to talk into. I talked into the back foam,
Oh,
colored foam, and hey, I came from Fort Wayne.
oh,
I didn't know what So
Oh,
and
hilarious.
Ed goes, he was so nice. He goes, yeah, it sounded good. He said, I tell you what, though, he said, I think you were talking into the wrong end of the microphone. And I went, again, I'll get the picture. If that's all I get out of this.
Again, if I guess,
You remember that? That was awful.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Hey,
you got,
I
to,
just
see, you
wanted
got
to
to see Television City, so that's good.
yeah, right. I'm going to take a moment and bring in a couple of guests. This guy right here, if he would turn his turn his camera on. Howard, are you there, Howard? Oh, good God. I picked the wrong time. And guess what? I had somebody else waiting to come in, and they just disappeared. There he is.
There he is. It's Howard.
It's
Howard
it's not your
Hoffman.
fault, Joe. I'm at the moment I'm dubbing off my air check for Ed on my dual cassette machine, and I was wondering if I could send that to you. If I can get your address, do it. I'd appreciate it. There.
I think we're PO Box 9393, Los Angeles 90049. Howard, we can't see you. The microphone, the camera's looking the wrong way.
Camera's looking the wrong way.
Yeah, you're off. You're
Oh,
off.
I'm off a little bit. Oh, I
Zooms
see.
you
Oh,
half your
Yeah, there
head.
you go.
there we go.
Todd
Happy.
Parker,
There you go.
Todd Parker said Howard Hoffman might have been one of the biggest KKHR fans ever. And I've known Howard forever, and I never knew that.
He's right. He's absolutely right. Yeah. Hi, Todd.
Howard, I miss you and I love you. I hope
Miss
you're
you
well.
too, man. Miss seeing you around the I miss seeing everybody around the audition routes. But it was the summer of 1984, and I was between jobs, and I decided to camp out at my sister's place. She lived in Venice, California. So I spent the entire summer of 1984 listening to this radio station. I'm going, oh my God, I would love to get into this place. This is like the radio station. I thought this was made for me. And it had an explosive top of the hour. The rest of the station was just nothing but energy, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And I'm just sorry that I never got to. But Lou Simon, thankfully, because we both had roots in Phoenix, he invited me up to #1, take a tour of that gorgeous, funky old building, which was just amazing. And he gave me, now I can confess to you, Ed, he gave me a reign in the production room to make an audition tape. Which I don't know if you ever got, but I managed to send that tape to KMEL in San Francisco. And that August of 1984, they hired me for Afternoon Drive. And I'm listening to these stories of you guys. And there is nothing better than a startup when you guys are, when everybody gangs together and says, we're going to start this radio station.
Yeah.
Isn't that the greatest feeling ever in this business?
Is. You're coming in, everybody's coming in from different areas. They're meeting for the first time.
Right.
It becomes a family, and we all were very friendly, and we all loved each other.
And it came across on the air too. And that's what absolutely drew me right to it. So, again, I'm sorry I never got a chance to work there, but boy, it was just an absolute thrill listening to it, listening to it in the car, listening to it at home, and it was just.
But you know what's great? See, none of us really knew, or I didn't know, and Slim didn't know that that Mark came from Fort Wayne, or that Joe had been doing Saturdays at K-Hits or whatever the hell he was doing, whatever. I mean, we all came from where we came from. Nobody until today knew that I had just been at KZZ. I had to quit KZZP Phoenix to come there. We all just showed up, like you said, Howard, and all of a sudden we were on a level playing field. We were all good. We all deserved to be there. Ed dignified all of us and gave us the right shift and supported us. And I never knew who had the most. I still don't know where Chris Lance worked. I think San Francisco, but I could be wrong.
He joined us at KMEL after a while.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
After KKHR.
San Diego. I think he was in San Diego a long time. I think B100 and KCBQ.
He was in San Diego.
Yeah.
Odd fella, but
he was San Diego.
Great.
I brought in another guest, and again, these folks keep turning off their cameras. I don't know if they're camera shy. There he is,
J-Bo Jones.
J-Bo Jones.
Oh my God. Hi everybody. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. I had to tune in. I was supposed to come on at 7, and I'm on the air. I'm just finished my ROR Boston show, but I couldn't wait to jump in and say hi to everybody. And I am so honored to be part of this. This is when I saw the note that you put out, Joe, on Facebook. I immediately texted Lou, "Hey Lou," and I said, "Oh my God, I was part of the HTT crew in Boston." And I got a couple of really wild stories to share with you guys. But go ahead, why don't you guys keep going if you want?
Hey, wait, did I get the name right? Was the guy Rick Peters? Was he the PD?
Rick Peters was the PD, and he was the nicest guy. I got in there, and my goal was to get in Boston by the time I was 25, and I did. He loved me on the air, and of course, left 3 months later. And then Charlie Quinn came in, who I love. He's a dear friend. He thought I sucked. So I'm like, oh no, what happened? But it ended well with him. So
oh man, J-Bo. And listen, I love hearing you on 70s on 7. That's
you sound great. You sound good.
Thank you guys.
Really good.
I'm so honored to be there. Lou has been an incredible coach, and Human Newman as well. And I've been there for about 10 years, and it's it's an unbelievable experience being on in all 50 states every day. We hear from the Lou will tell you, the audience is so passionate for that brand. They find you no matter where you are. And
but there's because it's the thing is we're all a bunch of old dogs, but there's still new tricks. And J-Bo has his shtick, he has his thing. It's gotten him very far. And a little while back, not long ago, sat down with him and said, "Want you to just change it up a little bit. Want you to just kind of change your approach a little bit." And we talked about it and talked it through. He took to it right away. Some guys would push back. What?
No way, I'm out of here, Simon.
No. That wasn't me.
No. He's great because it's just great when a jock takes direction. I think last time we talked, Joe and everyone, I told you the bells and whistles story.
Yes.
That's about a jock taking. That's about a jock taking direction. It's the most embarrassing story of my life. Happened with Ed Scarborough.
Yes. All right. Listen, let me bring in before you tell that story. Let's bring in another guest here.
Hey,
Randy West.
Randy.
9.
Go with the best.
9. The only thing older than this reunion is the 9 reunion that would have been 10 years earlier.
Mark, are you familiar with 9? Did you ever hear 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So was that born in Connecticut? Did you guys do that?
It was
no.
Middletown, New York.
Oh, it was in New York.
Yeah. And
Middletown Ridge.
I think we just celebrated 50 years of that. Yeah. Well, you guys.
I heard that for the first time in Syracuse, New York. A couple of guys were laughing their butts off, and I went in and they said, "Well, you got to listen to this." And so that 9 tape was a legend, of course, throughout the whole industry.
It's
I
going
had
to
no
amazing.
idea. I had no idea that where are they? These two guys over there were behind this. It was you guys and Russ, right? Wasn't that the
Russ and Pete Slant.
Okay.
You know what? I wish I hadn't planned this. I wish I had 9 to play it, but
I have it. Look.
Where can you look it
We've
up?
all got copies of it, Joe.
We've
all got a copy of
for
it.
9.
Do you know what? My first copy at WWCO in Waterbury in the early 70s was on a. Remember those small reel-to-reels?
Yeah, the little 3-inch.
Yeah, little 5-inch reel.
Little tiny reel-to-reel. Yeah, that was my first
All
copy.
right, name the DJs on that air check. Who are the
Oh
DJ
my
names?
God.
Randy, you and I
John-
have to sit this out. Let everybody else try to do it.
We refuse ourselves.
I'm at a loss. All I remember is the kid on the phone going 9.
The kid on the phone, and they're playing. No, wait, they're playing "Funeral for a Friend" by Elton John under it, and he goes, he's 9. He goes 9.
And that was a real listener. That was
second thing in the whole world.
That was a real request line caller on WALL, and she played right along.
Oh wow!
She was doing the 999. Howard was on one microphone. I was on the other. This is all happening on the fly, and Howard's panning us
With the
left,
panning.
right,
With the
left,
panning.
right, left, right, left, right, 9, 9, and we keep going 9, 9, 9. When the frick are we going to end this thing? And then Howard goes 9, 9, 9, 9. 9.
Scene.
Let me just take a moment here to bring in another guest, a guy whose first radio station is the same as my first radio station, Waterbury, Connecticut, WWCO, but he went on to a much more successful career. Chuck Martin, ladies and gentlemen, right here.
Chuck Martin, yeah.
How are you, Chuck? Speak.
Doing fine. How's everybody today?
Oh, we're good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you,
Okay,
Chuck.
good. And,
So, Chuck,
Joe,
you work at KKHR.
Good to see
Tell
you
us your
again, Chuck.
journey.
I did. But you're right, Joe. You and I started at the same radio station, 1,000 watts day, 250 watt nights. I tell this story a lot of times that particularly when I was at PTR in Albany, 50,000 watts, and I'd say, my first radio station at WWCO, we had more cows listening to us than people. 250 watts nights. But you're right, that was a long time ago, Joe.
You were
I think
there
I was there
probably
before you, though.
a year before me, maybe at the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you went on. You went to Waves. You went to, and then you programmed KHJ.
Well, you know
Good
what?
God,
My
you did
first-
everything.
My first night on the air at WWCO was the night that Robert Kennedy was assassinated. And I'm in the studio midnight to 6 a.m. I'm running the Dolly Holiday Show with beautiful music from Holiday Inn's Nighttime. And I hear the teletype going nuts. Ding, 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 ding. What the hell is going on? So here I am just out of broadcasting school wondering, did I do something? Did I press the wrong button? Are the cops coming in here at any minute? I go back there and I'm ripping and reading that Robert Kennedy has been shot and everything. And in comes Wally King an hour and a half later to take over. And I'm saying, trial by fire. What a night to break into radio.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good to see everybody on KKHR. Yes, I did. I did. I was there for a short little while, and it was a great experience. I loved KKHR. I thought the jingles were fantastic. I'm a jingle
they were
guy.
awesome.
And I thought HR had great jingles. That Dancin Mark Hanson, he was there when I was there. Lou Simon was there. The Slim One was there. Todd Parker was there. What? Hey, what happened? You guys all got old. What the hell happened to you all?
Hey, I just got it. If you guys look in the lower left-hand corner, Greg Powers
and of course,
left a message that says, "Hey guys, I was at KKHR too."
Yeah.
And
Hey, Greg.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly deserves to be here more than I.
Greg Powers, absolutely.
Greg,
I was just a listener.
I got to send you a link so that you can come in. I'll send it
Is
to you on
Craig
Facebook.
the guy that was from
You
Anaheim?
can join in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey guys,
He's
can
right.
you take a moment to have
He went on to do-
get a soda or whatever, and I'm going to play. If you guys remember Beverly Hills High School, Todd, who were the two guys from Beverly Hills High that were super fans?
Oh, John and
Ernie and Steve something. Steve. Mark, do you
Yeah.
remember he ended up on pirate radio?
Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
They did a great piece for Beverly Hills High. They had a full-on television radio facility. These things last just about 2 minutes. So let's take a 2-minute break. The first one is Lou Simon. Let's take a listen and look.
Lou Simon on KKHR.
Let's take a look at KKHR's 5 daytime jocks. First, your 5 to 9 morning man, Lou Simon.
It's a minute past 8 o'clock with your walking, talking, wake-up call. Lou Simon on the Flame-Throwing FM.
Radio 93 KKHR, Los Angeles.
I used to hang around a radio station, high school, alphabetizing the records for them on weekends. I still do that at KKHR.
Who does all this stuff still?
I used to go out for hot dogs, for the disc jockey and cigarettes, whatever, if you'd let me watch them.
That's great.
And it was a daytime radio station, which meant they signed off the air when the sun went down. And they used to let me, 4:30, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, go into their little control room and play radio and put a tape on and then go home and listen to the tape and critique myself. I didn't know if what I was doing was right or wrong.
Now, you doing morning drive, you have to attract everybody, basically, right?
Right.
You have to attract the entire audience.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, I'm there for everybody.
Do you consider yourself having an on-the-air trademark or something that you do?
No.
You don't?
No, I have habits, things that I need to
Let's
break.
talk
But
about your habits.
but they're not. No, but it's not like like an on-air trademark. I know what you mean. There are disc jockeys who have a certain niche or a certain sound or certain thing they do, and I really don't.
That's 1-800-BE-SOBER. It'll connect you with people who are waiting to help. In touch with Southern California, we're Hit Radio 93, KKHR.
Well, sometimes I make them late and they're like the other day for the first half hour of my show from 5 to 5:30. I was saying it was Thursday and it was Wednesday.
At 8:21 with Lou Simon. People know, if you listen to me every day, sometimes I have trouble figuring out what day of the week it is because, it's early and I just can't deal with it. It takes up too much brain space. I know one thing. I always know when it's Friday. It is Friday, 18th of May. Celebrate a weekend because it's just hours away with KKHR.
There you go.
Nice.
That was
There
great.
you
Now
go.
owns Cumulus.
Wow.
John, he was such a super fan, and sadly, the sad news is that John passed away at a very young age. Todd, he actually called you, right?
He did. He went after he graduated from Beverly Hills High. He went to NYU, and while he was there, he called me one night. He said, "John, how are you?" He said, "I have cancer." But in that same, it was what you saw basically on screen. He had a smile on his face when he was telling me. It was just sort of like, just wanted to say goodbye.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, wow. I had the good fortune of meeting his family, his parents and his sister, and they were all just wonderful, wonderful folks. Made a lot of sacrifices for him while he was at BHI and also at NYU. His sister was an agent at William Morris for a while, but it was just devastating. I mean, from the time he called to the time he died, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks. And he was just a wonderful, enthusiastic, talented guy, and gone way too soon.
Yeah, and just about a year ago, his friend Steve, who was also part of the production team that did these pieces, had posted all of these online, and he reached out to many of us to let us know that they were doing it as kind of a tribute to John. Yeah. But most of us went to Beverly Hills High to their facility and were blown away by their TV studio and, their radio station. And we did, Mark, Todd, you, me, we did, like, they were doing almost like an MTV type thing that we hosted a couple of
Who was it? Gary Newman? Was it that we interviewed via Skype or whatever they had back then? We interviewed somebody, and I can't remember. Here in my car. That's
yeah.
They had me. I remember going out to the high school. It was probably that kid that invited me to talk to a class. To talk to the radio station, or the kids that were involved in it. I remember going out to Beverly Hills High, and it's cool.
Can you imagine going to high school at that school? Wow.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Man, you walked in, it looked like a fashion show.
Yeah.
Right. They should have dressed up. I didn't know. It's high school.
A Porsche used Porsche car facility. Yeah.
Parking lot is full of expensive cars.
Randy, that's true. You went to the parking lot, and it was Porsches and Mercedes and
BMWs.
There wasn't a car there that was less than there wasn't brand new. Plus, it looked like a Hollywood set, because the girls were all gorgeous, the guys were all studly. It was just unlike any high school you've ever seen.
Yes, exactly.
Ego smashing, actually, is what it
Well,
was.
it was a precursor to the TV show on Fox, 90210.
Right.
It was pretty much that.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I'm going to play another one. 2 minutes with Christopher Lance. Here we go.
Christopher Lance on KKHR.
Everybody loves KKHR's noon to 3 DJ, Christopher Lance, where he brings us Lunch LA.
Gobble up that Lunch LA from the station at Free Ride, Southern California. This is Christopher Lance, 12 noon.
I was in English class in college, and my English professor used to say, you ever thought about radio? Why he said that, brought that up, I don't know, but I transferred to another college in San Diego where I grew up, and I started taking the radio classes. They were easy, I got good grades, and I said, I think this is for me.
Hit Radio 93, in touch with West LA at 520 KKHR. Chris Lance, how you doing? 6 before 3 o'clock. Listen, how about a handkerchief for the Doves? This has got to be one of the biggest request songs this week from Prince, happening on Hit Radio. You want to turn it up. Hey, KHR.
We're personalities in a way, but really the station is number one, the music is number one. And you've got to find the right type of disc jockey who's going to fit into that. Right. It's so tough. It's hard to find guys who can entertain in a short amount of time and still sound like a music station, as opposed to, the Dave Donovan show or the Lou Simon show, I think that's our secret.
KKHR, and as far as the hotel accommodations being up to par, that's kind of up to you. Stay the night with Chris Lance at 5 before 3 o'clock. Now, don't forget, tonight, Mark Hanson kicks off that Hit Radio Free Music Weekend. We're talking about the Thomas Dolby concert kits, the Flat Earth, and tickets to his May 17th concert at the Greek Theater. More details coming up. Get yourself ready to win in the meantime with Hit Radio, KKHR.
A lot of adjectives.
Wow.
I love watching that.
I love at the cross promotion, but everybody doing an imitation of Chris when he was on the air. He would, let's see, I'm trying to get it in the camera.
Yeah, leaning over and clapping his hands. Clapping his hands.
And you remember, one of the last things he does before hits the post is he throws his head back. And
I don't know what he was looking at.
I don't know, but Ed, tell that story about what you did with his paycheck. Or do you even remember?
I don't remember. Tell me.
Okay.
Oh God!
This
what
is
did
a
I do?
story you told me this, Ed, that one day on payday,
Oh dear.
Ed pinned his paycheck to the seat over the control, and he said, "I wonder how long it'll take Chris to see it." First break, bam, out of the box, stood up on his chair, took the check down.
Oh my God, that's great. That is so great.
I love how far with that mic, those mics in Boston, they were so compressed.
Oh, yeah.
You could be back here,
Yeah.
and it would still sound like you're right here.
Right.
You could be anywhere. It was wonderful. It cut through the loudest song you could cut through on those mics.
Well, those are
great.
great.
Not a great.
Maximum
Yeah.
compression.
And by the way, when we started,
And by the way,
we had so much echo, reverb on the mic that I've talked to the guys about this before. And Slim, you would do an intro and you talk up to the, to the vocal, turn off your mic, take off your headphones, and you could still hear yourself reverbing.
I think you literally had to wait 4 seconds. You had to turn off 4 seconds before the intro. Before you actually hit the intro, you would stop, and then the echo would hit, and then there you go, smacked it with the echo.
Oh, it was so great.
I think that was back down before I got there.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you got there, it had been
Yeah.
quick.
But you know what? We've got
Ed's
to
got a
do
good
a
story
hack
about
it.
that.
I couldn't stand
Ed,
it.
tell the story about they used to call in and listen on the listen line and then say, we can't hear the reverb.
Oh.
We can't hear the
Yeah,
reverb.
But you got to do a hat tip to Mike, the engineer,
Run around.
because Mike had that thing tuned up really sweet. That was
Mike was
a
great.
sounding station.
Really
Slim,
did.
I got to bring up one thing. Do you remember
I used to say that you could.
the brown cards? Oh, I'm sorry, Ed, you're on a delay. The brown carts that used to jam.
Oh.
You remember
Oh.
that?
I don't.
I do.
Oh my God. They were so bad. They were Scotch, made by Scotch, I think,
Okay.
that we had a backup cart. Every one of the top 30 had a backup cart because they would jam on the air and you'd have to take and use the backup.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
God.
I can say, as you know, I have a horrible temper, and nobody can get along with me. But there was one of those days, one of those carts one of those carts jammed in the middle of whatever, and quickly I had to swap over to the new one, and I took that jammed cart and I turned around and I heaved it at the back wall as hard as I could, and it shattered into however many pieces. I was still finding, nobody knew that but me. I picked up most of everything, but I was picking up pieces of that same cart weeks later. I found just pieces over here. It was
amazing.
a bad time.
All right, here comes.
Remember, we had to transition to CDs. Do you remember that? Except for in
Yes.
those days,
Oh,
you had to actually
yeah.
dial up
Oh,
the
I
right
was
spot.
gone by then.
Yeah, they were in like you had to put the CD
put the
in
album
like a
in.
cart, a plastic cart thing.
And then dialed it up.
Right, right.
And I
Dead
fired off
on.
some,
Were they dead on?
some
Was it
Duran Duran
Denon.
song.
It was a
Denon.
Denon CD
Denon.
cart.
Denon.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
right.
can. They had pitch control.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
The new one, the modern ones actually had pitch control, but
Wow.
they disabled them because they knew we'd all,
Right, they mess with it.
Wow.
All right,
Denon,
here
yes,
comes
CD.
another 2 minute.
We all sped up our record.
Did we ever did we speed up the records, Ed?
I don't think we did. Did we, Ed?
We did.
Oh,
Did we?
Yeah, we did. If
Wow.
we carted it, we sped it up.
Oh
Little
my
bit.
God.
Hmm.
Okay.
Little bit.
All right, here
But,
comes another 2 minute profile.
Todd, I didn't realize when we wrote
Dave Donovan on KKHR.
From 9 to noon, master of the audio mix, Dave Donovan takes over the control.
Hey, hi! It's 10:02. This is Dave Donovan working a 30-minute free ride on the flamethrower.
I was in high school and called a disc jockey, my favorite disc jockey on this radio station in Connecticut, which is a very small radio station, a little 1,000-watt AM radio station, and told him I was interested in radio, and he let me come down and visit. And then eventually, he was the music director of the station, and he would let me come down on the weekends, on Saturdays, and help him file records and things like that. And then while he was on the air Saturday, he would let me go in the production room and do a make-believe radio show.
For some reason, it seems to me you have this kind of appeal to women.
I think that the reason for that is Middays traditionally has a higher listenership of women, just because, I mean, well, the old ideal was that women were home working, they were housewives. Well, now that's not true anymore. They work themselves, and we have a lot of people who listen to us at work. And I guess it just so happens that Middays, for some reason, has always been very high listenership with women.
Yeah, LA's Hit Radio 93, KKHR.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. 9:05, Dave Donovan with a 30-minute free ride. And your chance to win a free ride is coming up very soon. Stay with me. Huey Lewis, KKHR.
You always look 14 years old.
I never had so much fun at a radio station. This radio station was, talk about encouraging creativity and phone bits, and oh my God, it was the best. It was so good.
You sounded so natural, Joe.
Oh,
you really,
thanks,
you still have the same presence. You haven't really, you're still great. It still sounds very natural.
Well, there's something about your voice, Joe. I was working 2 blocks west at Ken Draper and Jim Hampton's production company.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly you're doing a show called Concert Magazine.
Concert Magazine. That's right. A syndicated show. That's right.
I was helping to do some posts on it. It's like, is that the kid I met from Waterbury?
From Waterbury, Connecticut? Yeah.
Right.
And by the way,
So
speaking of syndication, Lou, while we were at KKHR, takes over live from the record plant.
Yeah.
Which was huge. That was Sunday nights, right, Lou?
Sunday nights, from the Record Plant Studios on 3rd Avenue. Yeah, took over for Joe Interronte, who just passed.
Joe, yeah.
That was an amazing coup for KKHR to have that, you know.
Right. I mean, it was more of an AOR kind of a show, so it was kind of an odd fit, I thought, you know, for our radio station, energy-wise. But somehow it happened, and that was a cool thing.
Yeah, very cool.
So how long did KKHR last? When did it finally
good question.
stop?
Well, August '83 until I want to say September '86.
Is that all? Wow,
that's a good long time.
Is that right, Ed? Does that feel right to you?
No, should have lasted longer.
Yeah,
no,
it
no,
does.
does it feel right? Well, I'm saying, does it feel accurate? I'm saying, is that when we
too short?
No. I'm saying, do you think did it end in around September '86? Am I close?
Yeah, that's probably about right.
We think.
Yeah.
Did it then become KODJ?
Unfortunately, you know, Ed's internet is he's on a bit of a delay, but I'm just put up, guys. If you expand your screen, you can kind of read it. These were the ratings from '84. So you got Kiss and look at all the number ones across the board up on top.
Top 10, baby.
KKHR is in overall, we're in 8th with average quarter hour. Cume, we were 7. Our teen ranking was 2 at this point. We had a 2.9 rating. Look how we came up from the launch in the summer of '83 from a 1.4 to a 2.9. These are pretty respectable numbers for sales. I'm sure they did okay. But Kiss was such a juggernaut. And
you both went up during that time.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
Kiss had a bit of a hit in the winter of '84. They went down like 3 points, something like that, which is surprising. And we went up a whole point. But yeah, so I think these are probably the best ratings we had, Ed. I mean, I think being number 5 or 7 in the market, number 1 and 2 with teens, I think that was about it, huh?
You know, it's funny. I don't remember anything about our ratings other than, boy, did I get nerves every time a damn book would come out. But you know, I know we own teams really strong, guys. I knew that, and I knew.
Ed, let me ask you a question.
Our demo got a little younger.
Ed, when you were in the planning stages and they came to you in St. Louis and said, we want to do this in LA, and you knew there was a KISS FM there, what was, other than so what was Vander Hayden or Mike Joseph or whose strategy to go up against KISS? What was the plan of how it was going to be different or better than KISS FM going in?
Well, let me make a couple of things clear. Number one, Mike Joseph had nothing to do with our radio station or the Boston station. So when I hear, hey, Jim, when I hear hot hits and changed, I kind of get a little annoyed. They were so different. We never sat there with a sheet of paper and said, you got to say the call it is 19 an hour or any of that crap. But the thinking was that we were really right next to the dial of KLOS. And we really, I was telling Joe the other day, we weren't really digital in those days. If you remember, we were digital in 83, and it really wasn't a year and a half, 2 years into it when we stuck on the .1 because all of a sudden digital radios were coming out. So our goal was to be kind of straddle the line between a CHR and an AOR, which would position us musically different from KISS. KISS also wasn't such a successful radio station before we got there. They were doing okay. They had Rick Dees, but they weren't dominating the market quite the way they suddenly did after they suddenly stepped up their game against us, the budgets and all that stuff that you guys know we were always up against. But initially, if you remember, we were really more of an AOR-CHR combination. Then as rhythmic music kind of started taking over in LA, we had to start modifying the modern rock, so to speak. And again, KROQ was down at that end of the dial too, as I recall. So, we were watching MTV pretty closely to see what we were doing. But we didn't try to emulate KISS. We tried to differentiate musically from them. And that's why we were a little bit more aggressive in a lot of those things. We also knew that we couldn't go full bore personality in the sense of Rick Dees, but we could have a lot more fun on the radio because honestly, I thought after 10 a.m. KISS was the most boring radio station you ever listened to. I just thought they were boring as hell. I don't think they had a great jock on the place. They were just KISS FM. So I thought if we put some spark on the station, we could make some noise. We did. Just, ultimately, as I said in an interview years later, they sent us to war with rubber bullets.
Yeah,
we never had the ammunition emotionally to do what we needed to do.
I'll tell you, Ed, one of the things
like you said, when they're giving away Porsches and
one of the things you did, remember, it was like double play. You play the same song twice in a row. You got some press out of that. And I remember we were doing that, and then we'd end up playing Thriller back to back. And you said, no, don't do that. That's too much Michael Jackson.
Hey, Jim, I got to tell you, I was just saying to Ed yesterday that I went into him one day and I said, Ed, remember instant replays?
Yeah, there it is.
Instant replays. And it's like, and I said, I don't know if it was successful, but we did do instant replays, and we were already repeating songs. Our rotation on the powers could be like an hour.
Yep.
And if you're going to instant replay a power,
90 minutes.
About an hour and 20 minutes it was.
Yeah,
it really was.
But
I remember two things. First of all, I remember when Prince had a record out called Kiss, and we were told, and Ed told us, never say the title of the song, just play the record. We don't want anybody writing down, But the other thing was, what was the name of the contest where they're dropping the coins into the phone?
Oh yeah, the phone contest, pay phone. What was that called, Ed?
I forget what we called it. Hit radio. The Hit Radio phone booth. No, I forgot what the hell we called it.
To the clunks. A quarter sounded like this, a dime sounded like this, a nickel sounded like this, and you had to add up the amount to win.
Add them up.
The amount of money.
Count the chump change.
What was it like working
Well, it was
with
a great
Jackson
contest
Armstrong?
because people were playing along
You know
like
what?
crazy. You had to listen. It was fun.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, he was a gem.
I've got stories too. Yeah,
He was
He was great.
Take a look at
It was my hero.
Jackson's 2 minutes here. Here we
Jack Armstrong on KKHR.
Jackson Armstrong is certainly a nice guy, but watch out for the animal in him between 3 and 7.
Something is. Hey, Jack, your mother just called. She said she didn't have a son.
Wait a minute. Disowned Chris Lance. It's 3 o'clock. I'm Jackson Armstrong. I'm ready for you, Gorilla. On Southern California's hit music authority.
I got into it, in answer to your question, because I was looking for hometown show business. Something where I could be noticed without being noticed. That's what radio's great for. And that's why most of us are terribly ugly.
I think it's worth writing down. It's at Radio 93 KKHR. I'm Jackson. I'm the main gorilla. We're dancing in the sheets here. It looked like work of Apache. Wrecked bed. Go on. Wait a minute. Do what feels good. That's what we're going to do for the next 4 hours here at Hit Radio 93 KKHR.
Here, they've allowed me to do what I do. And they, instead of saying, don't do that, they say, do it. And if we don't like it, we'll talk about it. I say, fine. So I do it. And then they say, oh, we like that. And I say, that's great. Because most radio stations now have a very strict format. They have a very strict presentation. The guys are not allowed to be characters on purpose, because they don't want to pay them any money.
Free ride. KKHR.
See, there are 86 radio stations in Los Angeles, and 40 of them play rock and roll music. And the chances of standing out among those 86 radio stations are next to none, especially after KISS has had such a tremendous success in the last year and a half. They've soaked up all the numbers. KIQQ is not doing well. K-Hits is not doing well. You can go right on down the line and look at all the other FMs that are having problems. So they said, you'll never be able to cut into them. And we would not be able to cut into them if we went at them the way they are. But we're taking a different tact, and that's working.
Recycle and win cash. That could come in handy. Concert tickets, maybe even. How about a Michael Jackson satin tour jacket? That could be hazardous to your health. That was in the news today. Jeez, a guy who's imitating Michael Jackson was mugged, and they took his jacket. I'm not making that up. But you can win these things. If you'd like them, just get your friends and your family to start collecting aluminum cans for the LA Unified School District Can Drive that's going on now through the 14th. The more you collect, the better your chances to win. For more information on the Pepsi-Cola Recycling Challenge, check your school bulletin board. In touch with Southern California, we're Hit Radio 93. You spell that KKHR.
I won't let you down. Don't let me down.
All right.
We'll get you tomorrow 3 to 7.
So long, sucker.
It's KKHR.
Down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Nothing like him.
Yeah, the two crossovers
I mean, Joe,
with Jack.
Joe, when you were coming up through the ranks, didn't you used to listen to him on WKBW?
Oh, KBW. When I was in Connecticut, Howard. Yeah.
I would make it a point to tune into that guy.
Yeah.
You know, because there was nothing else like him on the radio.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a genuine guy, just a nice guy.
I wish I got to know him.
Yeah.
He was great.
I worked with him.
He took the.
I worked with him at a couple of stations.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, coming in.
Go ahead, Chuck.
He froze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't he at BP?
But Jack was on 10Q with me, and
I worked with Jack at a couple of radio stations at KKHR. What was amazing is I'd come in.
Go ahead.
I know we have a delay going here, big time.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was going to say coming in to relieve him on the weekend sometimes. And man, the smoke in that studio. I got high for my show. Big time.
I thought so.
I thought so, says Howard.
I was saying, can you guys hear me? Because we're on a heck of a delay.
It's just there's a long delay,
me?
Chuck. And you'll hear that in a bit.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if anybody can hear me. We're on one heck of a delay here.
Yes, absolutely. About Jack, and I think, Ed, you had some issues where I don't know if the brass at CBS wanted to get rid of the gorilla, and you said something to Jack where Jack.
Okay. Well, if you guys could hear me, I worked with Jack at a couple of radio stations. He was a great guy, just a real human being, right? Super down to earth. And you know, when he was at KKHR.
It just caught up. Just caught up with Chuck.
Darn it.
So close.
So close. We almost got it.
Some of Jack's reefer is starting to hit Chuck. There he goes.
Finally.
Connecting. He's
There's quite a delay. Quite a delay.
Yeah. So to finish it up, Ed had to go into Jack and say something like, CBS has clamped down on the money. We can only afford one guy in the afternoon. So you have to get rid of the gorilla. Right?
We always suspected he drew two paychecks, one for him and one for the gorilla.
That's right. That's right. That's funny.
I basically gave him the choice and said, one of you has to go. So you time. And Jack always spoke of the gorilla as another person. You know, when I called him in to talk to him about it, I asked where the gorilla was. And, he's at the bank cashing a check or something. And that's when I broke the news that we just couldn't afford to do a two-man show, and he had to make a decision. And, we just never heard the gorilla again. But, corporate felt that the gorilla was taking the numbers routine in afternoons. So we had to make that kind of adjustment. I said to Jack all the time, Jack, you're giving the gorilla the best lines, and we can't always understand them. Save those lines for you. Don't let the gorilla be the star. And somehow that got through. And,
amazing.
Look, that guy could do a show with his arm tied behind his back and his tongue, sewn up. It was just amazing what he could come up with.
Incredible.
But the gorilla distracted him from it, and I just felt he was better without that, and he was.
That's good. Interesting. Yeah.
All I know is I'm in an industry where Ed just actually said, "You're giving the gorilla the best line." Literally, my career has just completely. I get it now. This is great.
All right, here comes one more from Dancin Mark Hanson.
Mark Hanson on KKHR.
Mark's co-workers call him their resident rocker, and from 7 to midnight, KKHR parties Southern California.
It's 8 o'clock with Mark Hanson on Southern California's Bitchin' FM. I was like cutting lawns, the basic usual stuff, babysitting, whatever I could do for a couple bucks. And I'm driving down the road and I'm playing with the radio, and this guy's having a good time smoking on the radio, and I'm thinking, hey, that sounds great. So I check it out. The guy actually gets paid for it. He gets concert tickets. He gets the women. He gets everything. So I said, hey, that's for me, and I threw the lawnmower away, and I've been jocking ever since. Radio! KKHR, be partly cloudy tonight. Look for low down at 62. Tomorrow is sunshine. High is 76. Wow. 76 in Hollywood. KKHR. The station is so hot. I mean, it's full of fun. Everybody here has a good time, and all the jocks, we really get along. We have parties like, if you could read this, there's a party going on. Hit nights, we're doing these all the time, having a great time, and, it's nice and loud. Hey, we have a great time. I love this place. And it's L.A. The drugs you took yesterday could still be affecting you today. So get help. Call Narcan there at 733-2200. In touch with Southern California, we're Hit Radio 93, KKHR. Okay, now like the night guy, which is what I am, not the all-night guy, but the night guy. And you figure at night, what are people doing at night? They're partying, they're having a good time. And I can remember, just about a year ago when I was in high school, that, at nighttime is when you listen to radio. It's when you get into it, you got the car and you're cranking it. So I'm looking for the party people, the people that are fun.
Southland weather.
Hey, it's going to be partly cloudy tonight, look for low of 62. A little cooler tomorrow, look for high of 76. Clouds in the morning, burning off in the afternoon. 74 now in Hollywood, and your Hit Radio. You got to like the other guys, otherwise the station will sound really disjointed. It's like, da-da-da. But if everybody likes each other, we have a good time, and the whole station flows, and we're all alike. We all have fun, and we're all a little weird. We've all been dropped on our heads several times, and so, hey, we get along, and you got to. The spirit's there, and you can hear it, I think, on the radio. There's other stations in town. I'm sure you've heard a few, and that's what I think about it. But this station just...
There's a party going on with Southern California's hottest hit music on 93 FM, KKHR.
Hit Radio!
Charged with only the hottest hits, powered by only the hottest artists. Connect with LA's Hit Music Authority, 93 FM, KKHR.
Hit Radio! Radio.
Driven by the hottest names in hit music. Power up Hit Radio 93.
KKHR.
I love Mark. You were mowing lawns and babysitting.
Yes, yes. I was also here from Fort Wayne. Remember that part? Man,
so that wasn't just a line. That was.
I was mowing a lawn, and it was St. Louis. It was humid. It was like 93 degrees, and I finished mowing the lawn, and my mom goes, "Hey, you want to go to McDonald's?" I'm thinking that sounds good. So we get in the car. She turns the radio on, and for the first time, I listened to the jock. I mean, I always listen to the music, but for the first time, I listened to the jock. I thought, wow, wait a minute. That guy's actually, he's probably getting paid for this, and it's probably air conditioned. That was my biggest thing. It was cool and not sweating. And I said, I want to be cool. And that's how I started.
I got into radio because it's air conditioned.
You know what? To this day, it's still air conditioned. It's incredible.
It is. That's right.
And Randy, what's the most important part of a radio station?
Air conditioning and soap in the men's room.
There you go.
Yes.
Wow.
I love it.
I mean,
that's so great.
Those jingles. Can I jump in? One of the when I did overnights at HTT, and the jingle package. I mean, some of my greatest breaks in an hour may have been the weather breaks. Because the jingle was so great.
Yeah,
the best.
Oh, it was but it was a wait a minute, Jabo. It was a donut. You had to fit. It wasn't a 2-punch. You had to live right inside of that and hit it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys had the one we had, but we had the one when it went Boston weather.
No.
And no, we had
Southland weather.
Southland weather.
It was as good as any song we played. I mean, for a minute.
Hey, Bo,
and then
let me tell you something. The top of the
WHT.
hour in the jingle package was just a dan-a-dan-dan, hit radio KKHR, Los Angeles. And I went to Ed and I said, we got to have a talk up. I mean, I loved Super CFL's talk up at the top of the hour. And he goes, well, we don't have a talk up and we're not going to do another jingle. And I go, well, I'll go in the production room and see what I can do. So I looped. All it was dan-a-nan-nan, hit radio. So I took dan-a-nan-nan,
I remember
and
that.
I looped it to the boom hit radio. And we talked that up for, a long time. And then eventually Ed got a new jingle that had an explosion in it that was a much better talk up.
Yeah.
But Dave Skywalker tells this story. He was up in Bakersfield and they bought the KKHR package for their station in Bakersfield. And he was so excited because they were going to have this talk up jingle. And the package comes in and it's dan-a-nan-nan, Bakersfield, whatever. He's like, what the hell? And he called me and he go, why didn't we get the talk up? And I go, I made the talk up. He goes, I said, send me your jingle. I'll make it for you. So I made him a talk up and they had a talk up in Bakersfield.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. I'll give you enough time to say 9. I had to get that in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Howard. Thank you.
Here come, I only have a couple of jingles, but here they come.
Radio. KKHR. 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 Hit Radio KKHR. Los Angeles.
Nice.
I want you guys to know that during that legal ID, I was screaming an intro. I'm sorry you missed it.
Yeah.
Joe, was that the one you made that last one?
That was the one, J-Bo.
Oh,
that
was
was it.
great. Wow.
Yeah.
That was as good as Jam.
But then
I never knew that. I never knew that.
In the next package, we got, I love that top of the hour.
Yes.
It had
the one with the explosion, the one with the explosion in it.
Yeah. It was so
Beautiful.
good.
Beautiful.
So good. And then there was another package that's circulating that's called Hit Radio 2 that I've listened to, and I don't think we ever ran it. and it's all KKHR, but I don't think we
Probably
ever
not.
had.
I rejected.
Yeah.
I rejected 2 jingle packages while I was there. I just said, no, I ain't gonna run these. We threw away a lot of money on jingles because I just insisted on that logo melody, and these jingle writers were trying to change it. And J-Bo, one of the differences between Boston and LA was the melody of your logo. Yours was a straight line WHTT, and ours was the KKHR.
Right.
Different logos.
Right. And our
so-
singers were not.
And
our
I think
singers.
that gave us.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Ed's on a little delay, Jay.
Go ahead. It was
No,
done by the same company.
Yeah, ours were a little bit less, more almost mid-range and lower male. They weren't as yours were a higher female, a
Very
higher
sweet.
Yeah.
Really sweet
Ours was WHTT, and it was very Boston. It felt like
That
a
is
modern
Boston.
day version of RKO, because RKO was a very modern version of the RKO stations. The jocks on RKO were very almost one-on-one, a little more, and the KHJ guys were up here, still amazing jocks. I love them all. Ours were like RKO and LS were similar. They were a little more one-on-one, and the jingles matched that.
Yeah.
Who made those? Who made the jingles?
Who was it?
Jam.
Did we
Was it
have jams, Ed?
It was
Ed
Jam.
left.
Yeah.
Sure, it's Jam.
Ed, was it
Yeah, they were Jam.
Jam Productions?
Jam.
You know what, guys? We're an hour and a half in. When I'm not saying we have to end it now, but I think that maybe we should start to go to a close. There's a picture here that I didn't realize. Rich Fields, by the way, who was going to try to join us, but he was landing in Miami at right about now. I don't think he's going to make it. But he sent me this picture, which is a better copy of the one that we've had before.
Right.
And then he told me that this was the end of KKHR. I did not know that this was a farewell party.
Yeah.
Because I had been gone. I had gone on to KISS for about a year. So you guys generously must have said, hey, come back because the station is going to wrap up. And this was a party at your house, right, Mark?
This is the house that I got the money from Dave Hall for. That's the one. That's it.
Who is that on the right, on the far right with the sunglasses?
That's Mark Mendoza. He was he was overnight after
Mendoza.
After Willie.
He went on to
Sancho.
Pirate Radio. He did overnights at Pirate for a while.
Yes. Thank you.
Joe, were you able to get Willie Sancho to be on this call today?
We not only did he not show up for his shift, he didn't show up for this. There was one night that Mark had to go from 7 till 7, I think.
Oh, man.
No, you were like 5. He was there when I got in.
Yeah, we were all making phone calls trying to find him. No, I think we got hold of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think they had a big fight. And she goes, I don't know where
he went back to Texas or something and didn't tell
he just
anybody.
left.
So I noticed I'm not in this farewell picture, but I think I do.
Somebody said to me,
you took
Lou,
it.
that you were taking the picture, but
That's right.
I don't know.
You were swimming naked in the swimming pool out in the backyard.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a Beverly Hills
Right
picture. I love this one. This is a yesterday and today of Mark and Todd.
Oh, that's
And going back to what Todd said that I was wearing, what color shirt was I wearing, Todd? When we Aqua, yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
a- it was
then
a-
I had this jacket with a.
Very nice.
But it all goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
That's
yes,
how it started.
Wow.
So what was the end of the station? How did it unwind?
Oh, good one. Thanks, Randy. Who wants to take that one?
How many people had to do a shift on KNX after Hit Radio?
I was retained. I was the only KKHR person retained. Dave Hall was out. Bill Minkler came in from Minneapolis.
Wait a minute, Lou.
Bill
Let me
Minkler.
just say how ridiculous that is. The guy who was KNX FM.
The guy who was
went to
KNX FM
And KNX comes back and he's out.
He's out. Minkler didn't want him for whatever reason.
Wait.
That is radio.
You sure? Well, because you were the music director, which means you replaced Dave.
They made me afternoon
So I
drive
thought
and music director.
Dave left.
Say it again.
Did Dave leave?
But you were music director for KKHR.
You became music director.
Wait, I can't hear what Ed's saying. Say it again. Ed.
Dave left on his own accord, and I made you music director.
As
You were doing the music
KKHR?
for us on Selector. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sure.
I
It
remember
has been
that
40
now.
years.
Oh, my God, yes. I do remember sitting in that room, whatever that big.
And why is
day-
that a repressed memory, Lou?
That
Wow,
huge
Ed,
computer,
good for you.
huge
You
computer.
did make me music
Yeah.
director. Dave left. I was music. He did the movie Deal of the Century and something else, and he left. And I was music director. And then when we changed to KNX FM, they retained me as music director and made me afternoon drive. And everybody else was gone. And I was, I think, the only KKHR guy that was retained to do KNX FM radio.
Wow.
I went from screaming
Bill,
at night.
Bill Minkler.
I
Bill
went from the
Minkler.
night.
He used to go across the street. What's the place called? The People Tree or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
What was the format, you guys? What was the format
He'd
of
be over there
KNX?
at about
When
10:30
you
in the morning, and by 12:30, I'd be running the radio station.
What was
I
the
didn't
format?
know Minkler was there. I knew him, and I never
heard
knew
the-
he went to KNX.
There's David.
Dave Hall.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Slim?
He
You
left
knew
on his own
him or Bill?
accord.
I knew Minkler, and I never knew he went to that he was at KNX.
Yeah, he came in. He came from Kink, K-I-N-K, in wherever that is. It's in Portland, Oregon. Portland. No,
Well, he almost hired me in KGW,
in Portland.
Oh, really?
but that fell through at the last minute because I was out of work at LS in Chicago, the FM, and he brought me out to KG62 KGW, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool to do a 3-letter call, and so I
You guys
wanted
gotta-
to do that.
How many times could we
Have
go
me-
around this room where people just each time you have to name one station that you almost got hired at?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really. But that was
And who got the job? And who got the job instead?
That's,
Yeah,
that's
right,
that's a
right.
good one. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I just want to say one thing.
Amazing.
Slim, one of my favorite jocks of all time, and if you can, dear listeners, viewers, put into YouTube Slim, the Slim one, and listen to her. And Slim, I don't know what it must have been like to be in radio at a time when it was so difficult for women to work on the air. And you did, along with another, a very few, it was a small group of women who were awesome. But you have WLS, KFRC, KKHR. You were able to break through and talk about a glass ceiling. It was an iron ceiling for women in radio. And you did it, and God bless you. That just shows what talent is all about.
You know, that's super kind of you to say, but I never felt that way about it.
Wow.
You know, one of the things that drew me into it was to be the only female with a bunch of guys. I love that. And I know that there were some times that I was hired for the EOE, you know, we got to have a female. But that just increased my need to, okay, well, they may have hired me as a female, but I'll still just get in here and kick a little booty.
You're one of the jobs. You're one.
Oh
of the
yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was so fun. I never felt that, you know, glass ceiling discrimination. I never felt that. I just
You
had a
did. Well, that's really, and you were there. Yeah. Boy, that's
What a great mindset. Huh?
yeah. Exactly.
One of the-
I like that.
So true, Howard.
One of the things that Slim did that broke through is in days, a lot of the female jocks still had that sing-song delivery, talking like a bedtime story delivery, and Slim didn't. She jocked, and so she was really just a jock, not a woman jock, not a male jock. She was just a jock because she had the right inflections and the power inflections, where a lot of those, jocks, they could do the AOR type formats where they could chit chat a little bit, but they couldn't rock jock because they'd get into a sing song. And Slim never fell into that trap. She just straight ass jocked.
Oh yeah,
and had the same energy as you guys.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things that did bug me was when people would say, "Oh, you're the best female jock."
Oh, that's wrong.
I didn't want to be segmented out. I just, if I got a compliment, I wanted it to just be, "Hey, you're a great jock." I didn't want to be differentiated by gender. That was like a backhanded compliment.
We have this, as we wrap this up, guys, Craig Powers jumped back in and said, how about a go around the horn, what everybody's doing right now? And let's start with Mark Jagger.
Doing mornings in San Diego. I've been here for 23 years, 22, 23 years.
Yay!
I do a show. I do the show with my wife Christy, and we work in Magic 92.5. It started like as an urban station, but it's like an urban AC. It's kind of weird to describe. It's just hits from the 80s and 90s now, and because it's San Diego, it's a little more rhythmic than some places. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm still in radio.
God
I love
bless
it.
you.
And
you are still in radio. God bless you. Yes.
You were at Star for years.
I'll be retiring probably in a couple of years. So if there's any openings at 70s at 7.
Everybody's hitting up Lou.
My favorite channel.
A good segue for you to say what you're doing now.
Ron Parker, line 2.
I work at Sirius XM. Been there 16 years, which in radio years is like 70 years.
Great job too. Great job.
Yeah, and I oversee a stack of radio stations there, decades, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And I got a lot of affiliated branded channels like Elvis Radio. I built and oversee the Beatles, Sinatra, the Bob Marley. I do Billy Joel, and work with the artists and work with the their partners. And I build a lot of channels. I mentor a lot of the younger people who want to be programmers and task them in everything from writing to music master, which is like selector, skills and all of that. So I just love what I do. I'm glad to be in it. Get to work with pros like Jay Bo, like Pat St. John, and some great radio folks on all of these radio stations all across the USA. So I'm happy to still be in it.
Love
Good
it
for you.
Slim.
Good for you.
What's going on in Slim's life?
In Slim's life, well, I'm out of work as usual.
Are you back to reading paperbacks and getting a tan? Is that
getting a tan? Yeah, only in the early morning here in the desert. No, I stepped away from radio quite a while ago, but I do a variety of things. It's been a quiet 5 years for me after I took care of my dad who had dementia.
Yeah.
And I got to come back here, and I've just been kind of getting my second wind. I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm retired. I think I've got some more life left in me. I'm not certain where it's going to take me. But since the early 90s, I've been very, very into natural food and natural healing. So if anyone ever has any questions about that, I'd love to help in any way I can. I'm a very big booster of that.
I love that.
Things.
Yeah.
So
how do we get a hold of you?
I'm sorry?
How do we get a hold of you?
What's the request line number?
Dave, yeah, exactly. Dave has my email, and anyone is more than welcome to chime in. And
excellent.
I love this. Is one of the few places where I can enjoy being called Dave. I love it. You all sound like my mom. My mom would call me Dave or David. Ed, what are you doing? We have to wait.
I'm just soaking all this up and enjoying the crap out of you guys is what I'm doing. Well, I'm certainly out of radio at this point in time, but I work a couple of part-time gigs for friends in Houston and friends here in Louisville area, and I'm just living the dream here in Hoosierville, as I like to call it.
Love
where,
it.
Just get up and pretty much do
what are you
what I
doing?
well please these days.
I'm sorry, am I up?
Yeah, you're up.
After KKHR, remember when Power 106 signed on? I think I was still at Columbia Square, and I remember hearing it for the first time and saying, disco? What are they putting disco on the air for? But I went over there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Until they told me how, I think I've told Howard the story. Every station has its shortcomings, and we had Rick.
Yes.
And Rick Cummings brought me into his office one day. I had, Jeff Wyatt was one of the best PDs I ever worked for, and Rick Cummings was about the worst. And he brought me into his office and said, you're just too old and too white to work here anymore.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Lawsuit.
Whereas I said to myself, well, there's 2 lawsuits right there. But I thought, gosh, if I ever want to work in radio again, I probably shouldn't take that route. But as it turned out, he was probably right, because Power drifted into a place I didn't want to go. And so I had a decent voiceover career going at the time. So
more than decent. You had a very successful one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good.
And by the way, Todd and I worked together in the basement of my home in Pacific Palisades, producing demos, voiceover demos. And we had a good business.
We had a good business, and we did some kind of, more or less famous names.
Yeah, very big.
The one that comes to mind is, and now I can't remember her name. That's how. So she does sideline reporting for one of the football.
Oh yes, yeah.
It'll come to me anyway. Yeah. But I've been doing voiceover since, and primarily lately, almost entirely audiobooks.
Beautiful.
It's a lot less lucrative and a lot more labor intensive than what Dave gets to do, but pays the bills, and I work steady. So
love it. And you're back in California. How about you, Howard? I know you're back in New York.
As a former listener of KKHR.
Yeah.
It's my only affiliation with this entire conversation.
You and J-Bo and Randy, you guys are consummate pros, and we all know you and love you, and your reputation precedes yourself. So
back at you, man, because it's everybody here has a great story to tell, and everybody here is just a pro. And God, I'd love to work with you guys, but I'm currently at iHeartRadio in New York. I'm a production director at my first 3 call letter station, WOR. And I also do long form shows on iHeartRadio Broadway, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, God, that's great.
Labor intensive. And yeah, haven't been able to pull myself out. It keeps pulling me right back in. And I'm happy to be here.
Are they still at 1440 Broadway, like back in the 60s?
Oh, no, they moved out of there a long time ago. It's funny, when I was at Hot 97, the counterpart to Todd's Power 106.
Power 106.
Yeah. When the driver would take us in, I did the morning show at Hot 97 for a few years, and when it would drive us to 1372 Broadway, but we had to go past 1400 Broadway, and I'd see the call letters on the building. I go, "What's it like to work there?" Well, be careful what you ask for.
You are.
We did go from. It's funny because we did go. We were at the AT&T building down at 32 6th Avenue, which is a beautiful, stately old building, and we had great studios there, and they decided to move back to the corporate headquarters last December on 55th Street. They built palatial air studios and no production studios, even though there are like 12 production studios there, but they weren't able to equip them yet, so all our production guys are still working at home.
Wow.
Which is pretty good because the break room is so much better. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And J-Bo, we got pretty much, but just a recap of what you're doing.
I am right behind me. I've been doing afternoons here in Boston on 105.7 WROR, the classic hit, since 2015. And at the same time, I've been honored to work for that man in the top Hollywood square there, Lou. I've been at 70s on 7 since 2012.
Yeah.
And I've been doing both. And I got very lucky in 2014. I married a female version of me, my wife Heidi, who is the voice of 90s on 9.
Yeah.
And she is the iHeart custom log AC voice along next to Chris Conley. And she's been doing that for a few years.
Wow.
And we just hired her here as the female image voice at ROR. So
speaking of which, many years ago, I almost became, somebody just mentioned about, Lou, you said the jobs you almost got. J-Bo had me audition for the image voice of ROR, and we were like this, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That would have been fun, because I've never had a Boston station.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Connecticut, so that would have been fun. And I'm a big fan of Charles. I'm a big fan of Yastrzemski. So
yeah. Well, you did voice my wedding.
I did voice your wedding.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yes, I did.
Because I'm a broadcaster and I married a broadcaster, Joe was kind enough to voice the intro when they announced the husband and wife. So you did, and you intro cut the cake. So that that was great.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I love that, Dave. But thank you for that. Randy West, what are you doing?
I had my time with Rick Cummings, which was another reason to try to get out of radio.
I'm so sorry, Randy. I'm so sorry.
You brought it up for me again. And Todd and I also know Nina Nissenholtz together, who's our agent at William Morris.
Nina Nissenholtz, my first agent. Yeah.
Yours too?
Yes.
Wow. We've all been abused by the same people. I wonder. In 2000, my whole thing was always game shows, since I used to cut classes and watch Johnny Olson and Don Bartle. So in 2003, I got The Price is Right with Bob Barker. And from that time on, I had a relationship with Fremantle, who's had me on the road on and off for 22 years with The Price is Right live. And then they kicked off Wheel of Fortune live about 3-4 months ago, and they sent me out to start that. But it doesn't pay. It's one-nighters on a bus, so it's at my age, it's not as much fun as it could be. But I do get some VO work with Big Brother, doing some of the attention housemates. We're going to do this and that, these challenges.
But Randy, also, did you mention your book?
No, I did not mention the book. I wish I could hold it. It's on the other side of the room. TV Inside Out: Flukes, Flakes, Feuds, Felonies. Howard, I'm sure, is probably. Todd's got it. Yeah, thank you.
Todd got it.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, you were first. So it's 500 pages.
Entertaining, guys. It really is wonderfully entertaining.
Thank you.
The reason you can't get it is because it's too heavy. You can't.
Well, there's no more New York phone book. It takes the place of the New York phone book.
We do have a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to speak a little bit, and then we're going to bring Chuck in. And Chuck, if you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Chuck.
3, 4, 5.
Chuck Martin.
You know what? Let's not ever get his internet connection.
Howard, that's the funniest thing I've seen today.
All right, now you know, with all the years, this is terrible. With all the years in radio and all the stations and all the general managers and the radio bullshit I've been through, I'm confined to an insane asylum. They let me out on weekends, and they were kind enough to let me join you guys here. That's for sure. Listen, I just turned 80 years old. I have been. Last June, my wife and I celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary, which years.
Congratulations! Wow.
I have 2 children, 3 grandchildren, and now 3 great-grandchildren, and that's what I do nowadays. You know, I was a very small part of KKHR, but, I was just very happy to be a part of it, a small part.
That is so great, Chuck.
I love hearing all your stories.
Thank you. And as we wrap this up, mine is, I think, number 1 for me. I'm a papa of 3-year-old James and 6-year-old Theo, who's a girl. That's what I do most, along with voiceovers and and trying to bring together my good friends who I've had such a wonderful experience with, and each and every one of you guys are a part of that. And I'm so happy that you guys were willing and able and available to do this tonight. Listen, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of viewers on this, and it's going to live forever. You know, one of those things on the internet. And I'm proud to be together with you guys. I'm proud to be a part of KKHR and what we did in Los Angeles. And it was a hell of a fun time.
No kidding.
Happy to be with you guys.
Hats off to Ed Scarborough, who pulled it all together, had the vision, and gave each of us the ride of our lives. So thank you, Ed.
And thank you, Dave, for wrangling all of us and pulling this together.
Honey.
You've done a great job. We appreciate you.
Even for an outsider like me, we appreciate it.
And Dave, the woman I was talking about was Michelle Tafoya. So she was in the basement.
Yes.
Also,
that's right.
A couple of other names you may know: Brock Peters, who was in To Kill a Mockingbird. That goes back a ways. Lee Taylor Young, television show a star from the '60s, and Louis Nye was actually down in your studio.
Louis Nye. These were all voiceover demos that Todd produced in my little studio under our kitchen in the Palisades, which in 1994 we had a landslide, and now that little studio is underground.
Oh no!
Wow. I was going to say Pacific Palisades is a little shaky. Things are sliding
We had
over
a beautiful
here.
view, Slim, for about 15 years, and then
wow!
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, love you guys, and
I got you, buddy.
Love all everybody who watched tonight. Thank you. This was it. Todd Parker went on the air at 3 p.m. August 25th, 1983.
Woo!
Wow! This incredible memory for all of us.
Man. It's an honor to be with you guys. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, everyone, for making me look good.
Everybody, I envy the heck out of you. You worked at a great radio station.
Yeah.
Bravo to all.
Good luck to all of you guys.
Thanks. Bless
Thank
you.
you for pumping me up for another great show tomorrow. Thanks.
Good luck to all of you guys. Slim one, good to see you
all the time,
again.
dude.
Mark, good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, man. Good to see you too.
Take care.
Good luck, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, Joe, for making it happen.
Love you.
Thanks for bringing me in.
All right,
Thank you.
Joe.
Chuck, you take care of
Bye-bye,
yourself,
Ed.
will you?
Bye-bye, Todd.
There goes everybody.
Boom.
See ya. Ending the broadcast now.